Hi, folks, and welcome to the Mike Lopez TV Show. I'm your host, ACMike. We'll bring you all things Atlantic City and more. Politics, sports, dining, entertainment, and so much more. Our first guest for tonight's show is Connor Price, Vice President of Business Development at Tower Investments, Inc. Next up, we'll have Mike Intrieri, co-owner of North Beach Mini Golf and Bike Rentals. So stick around. We'll be right back. Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Our first guest is Connor Price, Vice President of Business Development at Tower Investments, Inc. Connor, welcome to the show, my friend.
Mike, great to be here. It's been a long time coming. I'm so excited to be here at Stockton University, talk a little bit about what's going on in Atlantic City, and obviously thrilled to be doing it with you.
I appreciate it again.
Yeah.
Again, I know you're a busy man. So Connor, listen, before we get started, Tower Investments, you're doing all kinds of things there, whether it's Philly, Atlantic City. But first, let our listeners and our viewers get to know you a little bit. Tell us about you.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks again for having me. My name's Connor Price. I am the Vice President of Business Development at Tower Investments. We are the ownership company of the Showboat in Atlantic City and tons of other properties and land and so forth. And I've been with the ownership company now for 7 years. My story of how I started at Tower is a little bit peculiar. It's not as traditional as a typical career path. The owner of my company, Bart Blatstein, he's been developing in Philadelphia for close to 40 plus years at this point. And I grew up outside of the city. I've been watching Bart develop real estate since high school. You'd hear about these crazy stories of what he was doing in Philly, and it was always inspiring to me. In fact, one time when I was at college at Penn State, I even wrote a paper on one of his developments in Philadelphia. So it's just been a long, borderline obsession with the work he was doing in Philly. And my father is actually from Linwood, right outside of Atlantic City, so I've always had a fixation with Atlantic City. Anyway, I was living out in California, and after Bart and Tower purchased the Showboat, I guessed Bart's email address, and I wrote him like a 5-page thesis on why I wanted to work for him.
Wait a minute, you guessed his...
I guessed his email address. I think I tried 4 or 5 different iterations
Right.
before I got through to him. It wasn't rocket science. I figured it out. But I sent him this long paper after he bought Showboat on why I wanted to work for him. It's something very atypical for a developer to go into at that point, a risky town, and really put his foot on the ground and say, this is where I want to be. And he actually responded to my email. All he did was give me his phone number. And I picked up the phone immediately, called him. We spent 5 or 6 hours on the phone that day talking about Atlantic City, Showboat, myself. And eventually, a couple more phone calls later, he put me on the spot and said, you're either in or you're out. And I said, no hesitation, I'm in. And before I knew it, I was in a minivan driving across the country from California back to where I grew up with my mom. So anyway, that's, I've been there ever since, 7 years now with Bart and Tower.
That's pretty awesome. And listen, I wasn't going to go towards this direction with our interview, but I'm talking to you students and young entrepreneurs. Yep. and old heads like myself. You took the bull by the horn, so to speak, and said, let me put myself out there, and you did, and it came back. Yep. You know what I mean? That's so inspirational, Connor. So you talk about Tower Investments. He did some great things and is doing great things out there in Pennsylvania and Philly with Northern Liberties and whatnot. Talk to us about the Showboat now. We come through, and I'm gonna touch a little bit. As I ride my bike through the boardwalk, daily since 2007, full-time moving to Atlantic City. Taj Mahal closes. Yep. Steel Pier's open. Showboat's closed. The Revel closes, which is now Ocean Casino. Bart buys, and I'm like, this guy, who is this? So, take us through that back a little bit, because you didn't have any neighbors, so to speak.
We did not. When we first bought Showboat, the Taj was on the verge of closing. And then I think it was 6 months after we purchased Showboat, it did end up closing. So we were the only show in town in that entire part of the boardwalk. Bart and Tower, and the president of our company, Brandon Dixon, who's been with Bart for 20 years now, we were on ground zero. And Bart saw something that no one else saw. It was a market that was ripe for growth, that Bart could deploy his creative vision in so many different ways. And so he ended up buying the Showboat. And for the first couple of years there, it was weird. You know, we had this entire, close to 6,000 rooms, and 75% of the rooms were dark, except for the showboat. You know, we always say we're like the little engine that could. And then lo and behold, so we bought Showboat in January of 2016. The property was closed for about 2 years prior to us reopening it. So just getting it, all the cobwebs off the building, new mattresses, new TVs, even getting the cable running with internet and so forth, it was a big process. And we had a war room at the Showboat where everyone kind of congregated. We had big Post-it notes everywhere talking about action items.
Love it.
And so we ended up opening in June of 2016. That was our first foray into, owning a hotel, operating a hotel. This is actually Tower's first hotel.
Right.
It's a big one.
I
It's
was gonna
actually
touch on it. Yeah.
the largest non-casino hotel in the state of New Jersey. And ever since we've bought it, Bart, Brandon, and the whole Tower Investments team has continued to invest in it and bring it back to a life, but in a different kind of way. We are focused on families. It's something that Bart prides himself on. He's got a big family, and Tower, we're a very family-driven organization as well. So it's something that doesn't exist in our market, a year-round, family-friendly, resort destination. And Atlantic City is peculiar in the sense that it's a massive tourism market. There's 25 million people that come to Atlantic City every year. And most of the hotel product and resort product is driven around casinos. So since buying it, we've and I'll talk a little bit about the phases of how we got to where we are. It's all been focused on families and non-gaming, which is one of the largest growth segments in Atlantic City, is the non-gaming and the food and beverage, the events, all that stuff. That's our focus, and we're cheerleaders for all the casinos. We want them to do well because a rising tide lifts all ships.
Meeting Bart a few years ago on the boardwalk, just speaking with him, and I gave him kind of the rock eye when he was telling me what he wanted to do 5-6 years ago. I was like, dude, what? What are you talking? But you know what? He's Mike, I'm a developer. This is what happens. It takes time. We have these plans, and I love when you talk about the war room, what you had there. But he did always focus on that with family. So as we go into the next few years, 16, 17, 18, kind of the pandemic, we could touch on that though. But you started gearing towards that, the rooms and talking of the snake, pet friendly. So
non-smoking.
Touch on that before we get to Lucky Snake and
stuff.
Raceway and bigger stuff. Touch on that.
So, Bart's got his grandkids, and he was literally taking market surveys from his grandkids. What do you guys like? And that's the way Bart operates and Tower operates. It's creative. You really deeply immerse yourself into what's not in this market and what do people like. So we had this massive, at the time it was a massive casino floor. It was 120,000 square feet. And the Showboat, like I said, it's huge. 1.6 million square feet under roof. Tons of previously used venues at the Showboat that were not being used at all when we first bought it. So we stumbled our way, one of the first major things was into the events business. And Atlantic City does a good job attracting large conventions, more for the associations and so forth. But one thing that we saw is that entrepreneurs in that field that are hosting conventions, whether it's an anime convention or a Comic Con, or one of our larger events is the New Jersey Horror Con. So we really picked up our steam probably in late 2017 on booking large events. And when I say events, like, we're literally doing events that are hard to believe even exist. Right. We have the largest vegan food festival in the Northeast at the at the Showboat.
I've become a vegan fan because of you guys. Connor, if you could hold that thought right there.
Sure, absolutely.
We're going to go to a break and be right back. Folks, stay right where you're at. We'll be right back. Hey folks, welcome back to the show. We're here with Connor Price, Vice President of Business Development at Tower Investments Inc. Connor, again, so glad that you're with us.
Yep.
So we were
Good to be
talking,
here.
yeah, man. Yep. So we were talking a little bit. Finish through with that last thought that you had.
So we got into the events business, and within the first 6 months of doing that, we had built a book of business, over 100 events in the first year, and currently we're up to 300 plus events a year. Our goal now, we want to host over 2,000 events, even 3,000 events a year for every different type of event you could think of. You know, one of the things we've done good is we host more combat sporting events than any other venue in the state. So boxing, Muay Thai, sumo wrestling, pro wrestling, every discipline of combat sport we're hosting. Actually, we just did MMA actually in the carousel room pretty recently. So yeah, so that event was sort of the beginning. We helped us identify again what more we could do at the showboat. And you know, like I said, it's more and more and more over the years. Happy to touch on that if you'd like.
Yeah, I'd love to. And you're so on, when you say it, of course you are, because you're there booking these events. But I walk through there sometimes, and there's a fashion show going on over here. There's extreme wrestling going on there. And just all kinds of stuff happening, and I love that. And again, not to keep bringing Bart's name and name dropping like that, but he says we're not going to be the norm.
Nope.
You know, we're not going to be the norm. So go right ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, Mike, because you've got some history at the showboat, right?
Yeah.
Since you were younger. I'd love to hear about that a little bit.
A couple brothers were carpenters, in-house carpenters. My brother Nick and Jose. Love those guys. And they used to invite me in. I was a corrections officer. They were all in the trades. I don't know what happened to me. But the building was always near and dear to us. Again, just growing up, and whether it was the House of Blues, the bowling alley, the buffet, the shows, and just hanging out with those guys. It was just a great building. And that Mardi Gras feel back then.
Oh, yeah.
And then what you guys have done to bring it back. So I kind of think there's some of that still living in there. I don't mean to sound corny or anything like that.
Look, we want to embrace the showboat. We love the showboat.
Love the fact that you kept the name.
Yeah, and it's got great goodwill. Right. You know, everyone knows the name Showboat. And it's funny, you know, you just mentioned going up into what was previously the House of Blues. You know, we actually, that same room that you were in as a kid, we just hosted the American Cornhole League, an ESPN televised event up in the former House of Blues. I mean, we're hitting it on every angle on the event side. And again, it's been a step-by-step. We learn the events business. And just like you said, it takes time to build these out. And Bart continues to invest money to improve the event spaces, to offer different products that don't exist in the market for event planners, conventioneers. In fact, you know, one of our more recent developments was the carousel room. It was formerly the high limit slot room, and we converted it into a 16,000 square foot combat sporting arena, designed for fighters and spectators. It hosts 2,000 people, and that, you know, like I said, boxing, MMA. Every other week, there's something going on in there. So
I love it. And listen, we're going to run out of time soon. So let's talk about, and Connor, folks, is definitely going to be coming back and talking more about what we got going on that end of the boardwalk. Talk to us about some of the entertainment, whether it's Lucky Snake, Raceway and whatnot, all that's happening, because we have the biggest arcade, I want to say, on the East Coast.
All right, so real quick, guys. In May of 2021, we opened the largest arcade on the East Coast. It's called the Lucky Snake Arcade. It takes up the entire former casino floor of what was the Showboat Casino. It's 120,000 square feet, and since opening it, the place has gone gangbusters. You know, any random day you could think of, it's packed with families, people of all different ages, whether it's the grandfathers bringing their grandkids in, or even the teens coming to hang out with us. And then more recently, we took another part of the former casino floor and opened up a 40,000 square foot indoor go-kart track. The carts were literally manufactured in Italy. I mean, they're state-of-the-art go-karts. They go 50 miles an hour. They're crazy.
But you can't go 50.
You can't go 50. You gotta be,
we
don't want you going 50. There's helmets, there's safety training and all that stuff. And like I said, we're growing into this family world, and we've got a rock wall that's about to open up. It's 40 feet tall. We're getting ready to open up. It's a virtual reality theater. It's actually really cool. That opens in about a month from now. And then obviously getting into the indoor water park that's under construction right now, and hopefully we can talk more about this in a couple months. So we broke ground on a 105,000 square foot indoor water park adjacent to the Showboat about 6 months ago. And you know, if you go by the Showboat now, you'll see it. I mean, we're vertical. I mean, it's a remarkable development.
To see it coming out of the ground is incredible. I try to give my social media of viewers, and whether it's the radio or the TV show, just letting them know that this is happening, folks. But go ahead, it's beautiful. I mean, the skeleton's coming out, and it looks amazing.
It is going to go up fast. It's going to go up like an erector set. And it's crazy. The ceiling of the water park actually opens to the elements. 40% of the ceiling is exposed. So when it's nice out, we can just open the ceilings, just like the Cowboys Stadium in Dallas.
Right.
I know we're not in Cowboys turf here, but it's a state-of-the-art building, and there's dozens of attractions inside the water park, not just the slides. You know, there's the lazy river. There's going to be games. There's going to be something for everyone. Right. And beyond that, you know, great food and beverage options. Well, right. You know, something literally for everyone. And that's what the Showboat is. It's a cruise ship on land, where just like a cruise ship, someone from every different age bracket will have something to do.
And that's what's incredible. You would think, and I'm not knocking the city or any administrations or whoever, you would always have thought, you know, you're by the ocean, we're on the boardwalk, we're in Atlantic City, 1854, Dr. Jonathan Pitney, health and wellness, we would have a water park or something.
I know.
But no, but I'm so glad that it's you guys doing this there. Some of the stuff working with the city, how has that been? Because you've got so many different projects going on. Tell us about that and the CRDA.
It's a partnership. You know, it's not them against us. Everything that we have done in Atlantic City has been blessed by the city, and they've been nothing but great to work with. You know, obviously the current administration, we speak so highly of it because, you know, they're easy to work with.
Mayor Small, right?
Mayor Small, yeah. And you know, also the CRDA. I mean, these two governing bodies, they're world-class governing bodies. They make it easy to develop in Atlantic City. They support us trying different things, and you know, they don't overcomplicate what shouldn't be a complicated process. And we can't say enough good stuff about the city, the state, and the CRDA. I mean, they've been nothing but fans for us, you know,
Again,
since day one.
Great partners, Connor, whether it was Matt Dougherty, who was the former CRA director, and Sean Farewell, I believe his name is Mayor Small. That's so important in what the revitalization, I like to call, of Atlantic City. I like to keep things in a restorative narrative. Listen, I'm not naive. None of us are. We know we have our problems, but so does every other city. But what you're doing over there at Showboat and what others are doing around you is nothing but stellar. It's going to bring people, I think you touched on it, 25 to 30 million people a year. So I can't wait till you come back in a couple months, talk to us.
Pictures.
We're going to have him back, folks. Connor, last word to you. We got about 30 seconds.
First of all, thanks again, Mike. I'm
welcome.
thrilled to be here. Come check out the Showboat. Come check out the inlet. Walk around the new boardwalk. What you see about Atlantic City is so different than what's actually there. It is pristine beaches, beautiful properties, and the people are good. They're there to have a good time. Obviously, Mike, you've done a great job broadcasting that to the world. And just like I said, come check out Atlantic City. Check out the Showboat. We'd love to have you.
I appreciate it. Listen, bro, always
Great
a
to be
pleasure
here, Mike.
talking to you.
Yep.
Folks, this guy's going to be back, and you're going to be hearing big things from Connor Price. We're so glad you're with us. Stay right where you're at. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Our next guest is Mike Intrieri, co-owner of North Beach Mini Golf and Bike Rentals. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. Pumped to be here, man.
So glad that you're here with us. Listen, I know you're a busy man. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of North Beach Mini Golf and what you're doing, tell us a little bit about yourself, Mike.
Well, I'm a Atlantic City resident, first and foremost, entrepreneur, owner of North Beach Mini Golf and Bike Rentals, and real estate developer. Co-owner of MPMB Developers. We have a couple properties, operate solely in Atlantic City, and just doing my thing.
So tell me real quick your love for Atlantic City, because we're friends and we've talked to each other quite a bit through the years. Let the folks know what you saw in Atlantic City.
I mean, Atlantic City to me is the American dream, so I like to speak. I mean, it's just so much opportunity. It's kind of the perfect balance between shore town, city, a small urban city, and almost a little bit of suburban vibe too, at least kind of in my neighborhood. So I was just super attracted to that, basically best of every single world. And then just the deep, rich history of Atlantic City and just so much to do, you know, between restaurants, nightlife, you know, outdoor activities, biking, and just hitting the beach. I mean, it's really such a great place to live. And then, by the way, very affordable. So, you know, to me, it was my dream. You know, I started investing about 5-6 years ago, small time, started doing a little bit more and more. And then Atlantic City kind of became my happy place. You know, anytime I was going down to work on a property or do some renovations, that was my happy place to come down here. You know, I spent so much time here. Is, you know, hey, it's time to move, time to go all in.
So, and let's touch on that a little bit, and then we're going to move along to this past year. Talk to us a little bit about North Beach Mini Golf and that project at 120 Euclid Avenue and the bike rentals and whatnot, how it came to be.
So, yeah, I mean, my brother, who's my partner, we were just really inspired. I know you had Connor Price from Tower Investments here. You know, between him, Bart Blatstein, a couple other investors, Evan Sanchez, they were all doing these projects that were just one step above flipping a house, and it was very inspiring to me. I said, I want to do one of these projects. You know, what can we do, you know, as a smaller outfit that you know, that we can really make it work. And so my brother and I and one of my good friends were playing mini golf in Atlantic City, and then we're just looking at the people playing and, like, you know, looking at the numbers. I'm always doing numbers, you know, business type things when I go to places. And, you know, we just had so much fun. We were playing $1 a hole. We had so much fun. And then, you know, a couple weeks later, I carved out a business plan. And then I called my brother on the phone. I said, Nick, I want to do this. You know, let's do this. What's stopping us? Let's give it a shot. So, you know, we found the land. We did the design. We raised the money. We got the approvals. We did the construction. We built the place. Then it kind of brought us to this year, May of this year, 2022. We opened it, and that's when everything's got real.
Listen, before you go there, I want to thank you for letting me host that too. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
The grand opening was a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, we had you know, DJ there. We had jugglers. We had all sorts of, you know, councilmen coming out. But really, that was the turning point. You know, and it's kind of ironic. I thought that, hey, we did all this work to develop it and create this business. You know, once we opened it and hired staff and a manager, you know, I thought we'd be kicking our feet up, watching the money roll in. That was definitely not the full story. I mean, it was a lot of boots on the ground, you know, rolling up the sleeves work to get the business to where it is here now that we're at the end of the summer today. I mean, a lot of adjustments we had to make and just a lot of tweaks and understanding how that business really worked. But it was exciting, especially in Atlantic City, in that area, because, I mean, we were just kind of the first business to pop up in the inlet in, I don't even know, decades. I know they used to have, you know, the big seafood restaurant there, and Hackney's and Captain Stern's, and back in the day. But, you know, since then, you know, new boardwalk came in. It was such a beautiful area, but nobody was really taking that step. You know, we took a leap of faith. We did the project, and then, you know, learned a lot about running the actual business.
And that's what we're going to touch on, Mike, a little bit. Besides running the business, but also some of the things that you got, because like you said, it's not just the build. Now you got to have, it's your mini golf, but you have to have events at mini golf. You have to have different ideas in the creative part. So two-part question, tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing, you know, as Connor was alluding to, you know, at a much larger scale, you know, he's more the New York Yankees. We're you know, grade school T-ball here at the mini golf. But at the same time, the principles are the same. I mean, we found a little bit of a niche doing events. People in Atlantic City, they're there to have a good time. So we started doing corporate happy hours, BYOB. We started doing, we had an art and golf event with the Arts Foundation. We had an AC Pride event. Then we kind of rolled something out on the website where you could book a birthday party, you could book a bachelor party, bachelorette. You know, we started getting a little bit of momentum, and we had, you know, big end of the season tournament, you know, cash tournament. And then finally, to cap it off, we are doing a haunted golf. So I was always a big Halloween fan, and getting into the business thing, I was out so many haunted houses the past 5 years, and I would be counting how many people came through the door. Like, wow, there's got to be 1,000 people here tonight to go walk through this haunted house. I'm one of them. These guys are only open on the weekends in October. With this type of investment, how do they make that work? And I was always fascinated by that. So there's one thing I always had in the back of my head. We're going to do haunted golf at the golf course. We're going to, you know, we're going to go all out. And the cool thing about it is, I think every single year we're going to build it better and better. You know, this year, with the budget we're on, you know, we're doing a lot of DIY stuff, a lot of YouTube videos. Cool stuff though.
Right.
You know, some animatronics, going to stores, putting cool things together. You know, mom and pop style. I had my mom helping me paint a skeleton with, you know, with red spray paint. But so far the reaction's been positive. We had Absecon schools there. They loved it. Some of the kids got a little spooked, but it's family friendly. You know, they enjoyed it. It's not anything out of a horror show. So a lot of positive energy with that, and just something to build on. A lot of fun.
And to your point, folks, as you watch this interview, get on out there. It'll be up prior to the end of the October season and the spooktacular season. Listen, it's an awesome space out there. It's beautiful. We only have about 2 minutes left, Mike. You are located in one of the most beautiful places. I'm not a world traveler, but when you're in the Atlantic City Inlet, like no other, that boardwalk that was completed, I want to say 2017, 18, it's amazing. Tell us the reception of that, you know, how that's been part of the draw into North Beach Mini Golf, and then close us out with the interview, please.
I mean, that's something that really springboarded the project. I mean, if somebody really asks you why you do it, yeah, you know, there's a backstory, but all you really have to do is go out there and just take a look at the inlet. I mean, seriously, one of the most beautiful places I can find around here. You know, that when the sun rises and everything comes up just over the water, it's beautiful. And so, you know, that's why we do a lot of bike rentals. So we got the flagship nearby, a lot of families from Brigantine coming over. You know, why pack your bike in the car? Come rent a bike, you know, take it on the boardwalk and see it for yourself.
Right.
So,
love it. So listen, folks, those of you out there from the west end of the county to Philadelphia, all over the area, to North Beach Mini Golf, 120 Euclid Avenue. Come say hi to Mike, his brother Nick, Caroline, the whole crew. You're going to love it out there. So, Mike, I really appreciate you coming to the show.
man.
We'll be having you back again as this goes on.
I hope so.
Folks, we'll be right back. Hey, folks, it's our belief here at the Mike Lopez TV Show that you, the viewers and guests, bring the show to life. Thanks to each and every one of you for joining us. To learn more about AC Mike, go to acmikej.com and on Facebook at Mike Lopez, LiveWorkPlayAC, and on Instagram at ACMikeNJ. Remember to live, work, play AC, and I'll see you on 48.